We got losses yesterday, obviously. There's still free agents out there, some that we've talked about, and they signed some. So I'm going to let's first start with what you lost. Okay, let's start off and talk about what the Dolphins ended up losing in free agency and the possible decisions that were, a part of some of these things. Okay, because it's not as simple and cut and dry as some of you make it out to be. And I try to explain to you all what's going on. And, like there's one thing out there that goes out and it shows that, a lot of you out there really don't understand this. Oh, Tua, we have to re-sign Tua so we can't sign other guys. Tua's big money won't kick in for 3 years. They'll manipulate the number this year, next year, and then the year after is when it kicks in, and then that's when it gets ugly. And so it has nothing to do with Tua, the decisions from yesterday. So let's get through it. But again, we have, unfortunately, anything and everything that happens, half the fan base that didn't want Tua and is not convinced by Tua, they're going to keep using that as a crutch. It'll make you sound stupid and, you sound, dumb. Now, if you want to sound unintelligent, you go ahead and keep doing that. That's fine. Listen, you're probably talking to somebody else that's stupid, so they're going to believe you. And then they'll repeat the same thing. And then that's what happens. Because I cut off a guy yesterday from that. It's like, no, dude, it has nothing to do with that right now. But I get it. You don't like Tua, so you want to, throw him under the bus for anything that you possibly can. So let's start off with AVG. It hurt me to lose AVG. Okay. The AVG deal wasn't a crippling deal, but it was a decision that you had to make that once you were able to get a Jordan Brooke, right, you have to make a decision. And somebody was telling me, well, it's different positions. He's replacing Baker, this, that, whatever. And listen, whether Walker is replacing Baker or whether you're going to put Brooke, which is going to be right next to Long in the inside linebacker spot, that had nothing to do with it. It had to do with money. Okay. And so when you look at it, they wanted Brooke. That was kind of a player instead that they probably felt was better suited for them than Weaver. And with Weaver, he's coming off a Liz Frank injury, and he's turning 29 this year. So these are things that you have to weigh in when you're giving a linebacker a multi-year deal, and he's coming off a Liz Frank injury that he will not be ready till training camp. So they won't even know what they have in him until training camp. So it was kind of a gamble that Minnesota took. Obviously, Flores knows him, but still, it's not as cut and dry as you would think it is. He's about to turn 29, and he's coming off a Liz Frank injury. So there was a bit of a gamble where they felt that Jordan Brooke would be a better player for them in their system, and they felt that, okay, let's use the money there instead of here. And so as much as I was baffled with AVG, I kind of understand the Liz Frank. He's turning 29 this year. He won't be ready till training camp. Jordan Brooke is ready to go. He's a stud. He and Long inside solidifies. So you kind of wash. Okay. The Walker kid, and the guy's started 75 games in his career. And he ended this, and he's been pretty durable overall. He had a little banged up knee at the end. He missed a couple of games, but it wasn't a serious knee injury. So he'll be fine and ready to go, and a good rotational linebacker. I'm not telling you he's starting, but he'll be a good rotational linebacker overall. So you look at what you lost, and then you look at what you add in the process. And you have a guy that is ready to go for you right away. Okay? No question marks here. So now you lose Christian Wilkins. Okay? And Christian Wilkins got a deal that they expected, by the way. At one point or another, when you're negotiating, there's tampering going on. So let's not make, because some people out there make it sound like the Dolphins were caught by completely surprise. No team is caught completely by surprise. If you're negotiating with your player and you're negotiating with the agent constantly, that agent, if he's doing his job, is having some conversations backdoor with other teams to see where they're interested. And that's the number that they know they're interested in. So now they're going to drive their current team to that number. And if they can't get them to that number, hey, you know, we just feel our guy will be worth more in free agency. Bullshit. You already tested the market in the combine. You know what they want. You know what you could get. So you're trying to, you know, raise your team up to a number. And Christian Wilkins, okay, these are things that you have to understand that the common fan doesn't really, and maybe even the media member doesn't understand at times. Christian Wilkins will also be 29 this year. Christian Wilkins has more mileage on him than any defensive tackle that's available in free agency. Why? Because Christian Wilkins doesn't come off the field, right? That's his Superman cape thing. He's on the field all the time, which is a lot of wear and tear for a guy that's 29 years old. And so it's a lot of money for a guy that you really, I don't feel he's really a great pass rusher. So I'm not paying $27 million to a guy that isn't a great pass rusher. I can't do that. So I completely agree with the Wilkins move. I totally understand. And remember, as I've mentioned in the past, you've got Waddle, you've got Holland, you've got Tua, you've got Jalen Phillips. You've got all kinds of contracts that are going to come up next year. Okay? So you've got to balance all of this stuff. And you got to say, who do you want? Who's going to be more impactful? Who can we replace and find a way? And I love Wilkins' energy. You love the person, right? Because he is electrifying, but he's not the impact player that some people are making him out to be. He's terrific against the run. Well, you kind of lost a little bit of the run this year with him because he was going after the pass, and he went and got some sacks against some really bad teams. And so he was able to beef up that number. It's up to you, however you want to look at it. Fiscally, I think it was the right decision. You cannot pay Wilkins $27 million a year. You can't, dude. You just cannot do that. So for me, I have no problem letting Wilkins go. Now we get to Rob Hunt. And again, they weren't surprised by this. No team is surprised unless there are no negotiations going on and you never talked about anything, then that's fine. But negotiations were going on. So obviously they knew the number was climbing, and you saw all the other guards signing bigger deals than expected. You know, God bless him, bro. Good for Rob Hunt, man. You know, just like that guy that bought Bitcoin at 2000 and whatever at 30 cents, and he got out at 69,000, right? And he dropped it to 59 or 60, and then it climbed right back up because he dropped a ton of Bitcoin because he bought it back in the day and he was cashing in. God bless him. That's his right. Good for him, dude. You're going to have some corrections along the way because people got to cash out. So that's all good. And Rob Hunt, he had to cash out, man. You know, I don't have a problem with that. So Eichenberg maybe plays guard now. And you get your center back. Maybe you're all right. Or Eichenberg becomes your center, and Eichenberg becomes a swing guy, center guard or whatever, and you get another guard. I'm not sure how they're going to do it. Okay. Now, Aaron Brewer, I'm going to stay super consistent on this for those of you that actually listen to the show, not just watch a segment or two, an interview or two here or there on this. What have I told you about linemen? Linemen are very unpredictable. I got a couple texts from two of the teams Kendall Lamb played for last year from a couple guys that I know. He's terrible. Can't play. How'd you see Kendall Lamb? Different, huh? Buddy of mine in New England, Isaiah Wynn can't play. They can't get it done. He was playing fine until he got injured. Right? So Austin Jackson, once the light went on, Boom, it's over. Michael Dieter, by the way, actually had a good year this year for the Texans. He might be finding his way now, years later. Just like Kendall Lamb. It's like 8 years in, he had the greatest year of his life. Now, you know, these are things that when it comes to linemen, because I hear all the negative comments, and it's like, this is a fast, athletic lineman. That's what you need in this system. You don't need a big ass road grader. That doesn't fly in this system. You need guys that can get off blocks, get to the second level, move around. That's what this guy is. So they know offense. Did you not watch the offensive line last year with all the injuries? They at least kept it afloat all the time. They must know something about it, right? So I'm hearing all these people, slam on Aaron Brewer, and it's like, do you know offensive line play? Because I'm not an expert at offensive line play, but I am an expert at watching people do their jobs and say, yeah, that guy deserves the benefit of the doubt. And Butch Berry must have said, no, I want that guy. Durable, by the way, also. Tough guy and athletic. And clearly Butch Berry, just like Weaver, wanted Brooke over AVG. Clearly this guy wanted Brewer. And they went and got him. And if it works out at $7 million per year for 3 years, it becomes a joke of a contract. And then instead of slamming Chris Greer, Mackenzie Allen, and Brandon Shore, and all these people in the front office are doing an excellent job, you're going to be eating your words, and you're going to be crediting them because they found a player that they feel fits their system. Okay? Connor Williams actually can play in this system, but he wasn't from this kind of system, right? In Dallas, that's not the kind of system that they run. So, you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the coaches. This is Weaver's defense. This is Butch Berry's line. This is Mike McDaniel's offense. This is Frank Smith's offense. These people must know what the hell they want to do and what kind of players they want. So I'm not going to say a damn thing about Aaron Brewer bad because I don't know that he's going to be bad. All I know is that these guys make anybody pretty much serviceable, and they turn players into good players like Austin Jackson. Like watching Liam Eichenberg play some of his best football until he got injured, and the last couple of games were shit for him, unfortunately. Poor guy was injured on one leg, but people improve under these people. We just talked about Wynn and about Lamb. These guys played their best football under these guys. And we got these, fake ass GMs on Twitter, and the overreaction is just ridiculous. I get it that, part of the media feeds into it and they do their own overreaction. So they lead you guys and you don't think for yourselves. And so now you start overreacting with them. And really, there's no reason to overreact right now at all. The process it just started. We're hours into the process. We're not even a whole day into the process. Oh, by the way, the last couple of years, did Jalen Ramsey happen? Did that happen on the first day of free agency, Jalen Ramsey? Huh, Sean? Did Tyreek Hill happen on the first day of free agency? No, I don't think so, right? No. So it doesn't matter, dude. You don't have to win the offseason all the time. And next year, you got to be prepared because you got a lot of salaries coming up because you see, the NFL wanted Chris Greer's players last night or yesterday. They spent $250 million on Chris Greer's players. And then Chris Greer's got a whole lot of players coming up next year. For the idiots, you can't draft. And it's like, there's stuff that you people come up with that makes no sense whatsoever. We got to allow this entire process to play out. Brandon Jones, God bless him. Did you expect Brandon Jones to get $20 million? Obviously, what counts is what he got guaranteed, but I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 or something like that, or 12, whatever it is. But the guy's got a salary that I didn't even expect him to get. The money is crazy because the first day you're overpaying, like we all do in free agency, whether it's the Dolphins or the other 31 teams. Everybody overpays in free agency. And they overpaid for Rob Hunt, they overpaid for Wilkins, and they overpaid for Brandon Jones. And by the way, they took a risk with AVG. It's still a Liz Frank injury. That's not easy to come back from. AVG's a hell of a person, a hell of a worker. So he's got the kind of character that he can come back from this. But it's not going to be that easy either. There is a gamble. Okay? They're taking. And I want to make sure you understand that. And he is 29. So you're talking about a linebacker that's going to play this contract into his 30s. And, you got to hope that foot really comes back right. Not easy, folks. Not easy. So I would tell you that. Oh, and by the way, they reworked Ramsey's deal. Zach Sealer, Alec Ingold, and Durham Smythe to pick up $28.78 million in cap space, along with the Teron Armstead adjustment, which maybe that also helps them too, because maybe the whole thing about, let's shorten this contract or something to give some flexibility to you guys so I could get my money, but you can get out too out of it. So that's actually good too, overall. So they did all of those things. They got cap compliant. They signed their guys if they need to do it. Now the question is, where do they go from here? And, as I've talked about in free agency, two of my things on my wish list is Derrick Henry and Patrick Queen, right? I don't know the Brook thing. I don't know now with Patrick Queen. We'll see. But on the running back side, you start to wonder, Miami is not really tied to a bunch of running backs, right? It's mostly the media, and they'll inquire. But I think one of the problems that they're going to have, even with Derrick Henry, who could get the same amount of money, Miami could offer the $7 million that, who is it that's offering it? Baltimore, the Steelers, or somebody, I forgot who it was that's offering some money to him. Here's the difference, and here's what's there's an issue, I think, with the Dolphins and going after a running back. Running backs are going to turn to you and say, how many carries am I going to get? You have this guy, Achan, and you have this guy, Mostert. Mostert led the league in touchdowns, and this guy led the league in yardage per play. And, you have two explosive players, and then you have two explosive receivers. And now you're going to add a tight end. Where do I fall here? Because you can't acquire a running back and then all of a sudden turn off Mostert and Achan because the plays are big, right? So this becomes an issue for the Miami Dolphins in luring a running back because you're not really offering them a ton of money because Aaron Jones just signed $7 million with the Vikings. After Green Bay cut him and signed somebody else cheaper for a 2-year deal, he went and signed with the division rival for 1 year, $7 million deal. Super cheap for a really good like an excellent running back in Aaron Jones. An exceptional running back in Aaron Jones. Can run, can catch, $7 million. So he's not getting rich by any means, Derrick Henry. So the one thing that Derrick Henry or Josh Jacobs or whoever else is in free agency or whatever, they're going to sit down and ask, so how many carries am I going to get? And you think about the Dolphins, and there aren't a lot of carries available. You're not going to get 20 carries on this team. You're just not. There's no way you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Because then what the hell do you have Mostert and Achan around? So that becomes a little bit of an issue for the Dolphins. So maybe Chris Brooks becomes a bigger part, or you draft also another back, a big back or something like that to help you in short yardage. Third day guy or something like that, project type dude. I get now with the first or second rounds. They don't have a third or fourth, so it would have to be in the back end of the draft. But I was thinking about that, and I want you to think about that, because that's a problem. That's a problem for the Dolphins. It's something that you have to think about because players want to know where they stand. So that is my story, and I'm sticking to it.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.